Marianne A is a Master Certified Coach and an ICF Credentialing Assessor since 2008. She's the founder of Imagery Coaching Academy, a globally recognized ICF accredited school offering training for all ICF credentials. Her signature holistic life, career and executive coach training is taught in 6 languages, and her alumni span 90+ countries. A pioneer in integrating emotion and imagination into coaching, Marianne has worked with FEMA, EY, and American Airlines. She co-authored Me, My Brand and Why, and founded the 18,000+ member LinkedIn group ICF Coach Mentors and ICF Coaches.
Hello. Oops. Hello, everyone. Whoever is listening, whoever will be joining later on. Welcome back to my ICF Supervision Circle. I'm glad to see you, even though physically, of course, I cannot see you. But I am happy to see your questions and your comments. So please start typing whatever questions are on your mind, whatever you'd like to share with other coaches here in terms of, what comes to mind when you are dealing with certain unexpected elements in coaching sessions, certain unexpected elements with clients. What patterns are you noticing within yourself in terms of your own reactions? What biases come up when you're speaking with your clients, and how do you manage those biases? And when I speak about biases, I mean sometimes there's an echo and a feeling when you're speaking with a client and you're not sure where it's coming from, and you may just kind of react to it versus to really ponder what it means. And in terms of a skill development, it goes back immediately to providing more space for not just your client, but also for yourself to digest, to understand your own reactions and your own responses to whatever the client is sharing in the moment. And I did speak with someone this week who shared with me something that I kind of I'm used to hearing, which is, again, we're back to the topic of how not to feel responsible for your client's results. And this does belong to supervision because it has everything to do with how you feel. As soon as you're able to let go that feeling of control or wanting to control, or even more than that, feeling that it's your responsibility to a certain extent to control the result, to offer the result, to provide result, to make sure that your client leaves with a specific result. So the sooner you're able to let it go, the more skillful your coaching will become. And ironically, your clients will gain more from sessions when you provide space for them to create their own conclusions. And so we had this conversation a few days ago about so the coach shared with me that I was coaching and I wasn't making suggestions per se, and yet at the end of the session I was told that I was still pushing my client and not really being in the moment. So that's an interesting thing because right? So it's not necessarily you actually making suggestions. It's how you listen. right? Because if you are listening to understand, to reflect, and to help them, your clients, make their own conclusions, it's a very different type of listening from a listening to get them to the result, listening to resolve, listening to make sure that they know that you brought value. And the funny thing is that you bring value just by being there. People don't come up with things that they come up with when they're with their coach on their own for a reason. And a lot of times, and as you all participate in peer coaching arrangements, how many times you heard from your own clients or from the from listening to other coaches coaching when the client says, "Oh, I never thought about that," or the client comes up with something and then thanks the coach, and all the coach does is just like provide space and listens, but the client gives credit to the coach and to the coaching session. And I think that there is a thing to it. There's a value in that because we provide space. And it's not just empty space, right? It's not just a desk with a table, not just like a table and a chair. It's not just physical space, even though there is also a physical space. But it's a space where your client can think out loud with you. They don't feel alone in their thinking. But here's the thing, you don't think in order to resolve their problems. You don't think along the lines, oh, okay, here's the issue. How do I resolve this issue for the client? You're thinking, I'm really curious, how do they put these how do they put this puzzle together? What does it mean to them? What have they tried in the past? What works? What feels right to the client? And of course, we all have our own experiences, and certain experiences are going to come up, and sometimes it's a natural step forward. And then after exploring, and if the client did not come up with that, you may check in, but most likely it's not even going to be needed at that point because the client is going to come up with their own decision, with their own solution, with their own way of moving forward. And so, because no matter how many details they share with us, they still know more than we do. Because it's their lives, it's their careers, their relationships, whatever it is that they want to be coached on, it's the thing that they live in. We're just witnessing it. And so witnessing is a very good word, because if you allow yourself to witness versus actively participate in creating certain perspectives, certain attitudes, it'll be much more useful for the client. Because we're talking about being non-attached, right? So any kind of attachment, and yes, what comes up for me in terms of processing, internal processing, is some kind of a Buddhist monk attitude, right? Non-attachment. And that's an ICF competency, right? It's sub-competency of not being attached. We don't want to create our own agenda. And so when we become attached to the client's results, we do create inadvertently our own agenda and not our client's agenda. Because our client's agenda is theirs. We're not there to solve it for them. We're there to help them think. We're there to create deeper awareness of what they're feeling and how their feelings and thoughts are connected. We're there to notice any patterns any blind spots, and bring it back to them. And if there is a resource or best practice that I feel that would be useful, I'll bring it up as well, no problem. But I won't be bringing it up in terms of, okay, here's how you can solve this issue. I'm going to be bringing up as, well, would it be useful to hear best practices around this? The answer is usually yes. And then briefly, I can state one or a few things. And then I would ask, how does this pan out for you? Or which of these ideas I see it seems attractive? And which one of them would you like to maybe, right? To talk more about. So it's always in an extremely not only permissive way, but invitational way. We want to invite our clients to think and make decisions. So it's very different from saying, well, here's how things are done. Or in order to do this, have you thought about that and this and that? Right? So here, even though you're asking your client how they're thinking, but you're not giving them any choices. And by asking, have you thought about this or that? It's actually a yes or no question. Yes or no questions don't really create a lot of contemplation, right? If I were to ask, just playing with words here, if you were to ask, what if you were to do this or that? Well, then that's a suggestion, even though it's an open-ended question, but it's definitely a suggestion. Because it doesn't leave any contemplation for considering any options. And it just kind of takes the client with the coach, and the coach, the client just kind of follows the coach into that conversation. And that's what we need to be watchful for, because even though it's an open-ended question, it's also a leading question. And what's a leading question? A leading question is that a question that takes the coaching conversation in a certain direction that wasn't clearly defined by the client, but is initiated by the coach. So you may have been speaking with the client about something specific, and maybe you felt something. Maybe you felt, ooh, there's, I don't know where the client is going with this. Maybe we would be better off looking at that here. And then what if question comes up, and then you're changing the direction, right? So what are some of the ways to do this? This is a really good question. What are some of the ways to offer best practices? Actually, I kind of shared with you guys before at the beginning of this circle, how to do it in a more effective way. But yeah, this is something that is a really good thing for all of you to think through and to really start understanding. Really start understanding what exactly is happening for you internally when you are trying to push or pull your client to whatever result, whatever resolution of whatever issue. What is happening for you? Because usually when there is this kind of push or pull feeling comes up, if you allow yourself a moment to breathe, you will usually find a deeper answer. And a deeper answer would probably sound much more as a perspective versus a suggestion. So for instance, I'm going to give you, for instance, just so that you can connect your dots. For instance, someone is looking for something specific, right? And you know how to get that. And then you say, well, have you tried this or that? Or what about this or that? And you may even be giving choices like this or that, but still the client is going to be following you in that realm, right? And instead, if you were to ask yourself why these specific things are coming up for me, why it's this or that, what's underneath that, then instead of this or that, have you tried this or that? Maybe you will see a pattern in their thinking. Maybe you will see a blind side in their thinking that causes you to come up with these suggestions. Maybe you will see something that makes you uncomfortable to voice, because a lot of coaches, because we are also human beings, so a lot of human beings are not friends or not friendly with confrontation, but you don't have to look at it as confrontation. It's simply, I look at it as an offering. Like I offer something that I see. I try to make it as factual as possible. And then I'm going to offer it. And then I'm still going to invite my clients' thinking. So as you've been speaking, as you've been sharing with me, I'm talking to a client, I'm giving you an example. As I've been hearing this, listening to this, here's what comes up for me. There's something comes up for me that I would like to share. Would you be interested in hearing that? Or even as I'm listening to this, something else is also popping up for me, right? So you don't even have to agree with the client, but you don't have to make it sound like a disagreement. It's just another point of view. And then you just offer it. And then, of course, always you're going to ask, what are your thoughts about that, right? So you invite their thinking. In all of this, I think that the most important thing is how you listen, which is how I started this LinkedIn Live. How do you listen? What do you listen for? If you're listening to your own thoughts, and your own thoughts are going to be focused on how do I resolve this issue, this puzzle. If you're thinking about this puzzle, then you're not really partnering with your client in the ICF sense of partnering. You're partnering as if they're part of your solve this puzzle type of a team, versus partnering on a transformational experience, which is coaching. Right? And so if you do want to practice transformational coaching, then you are listening for what they say, how they say it, all of the nuances of their body language. You're going to be reflecting. You're not going to be thinking about solving something unless something naturally comes up for you without you thinking about it all that actively. But what you're actively doing, you're actively listening to all of those nuances that the client is sharing with you, because you are in a constant process, whether it's a brand new client or a client who you've been working with for a while. You're constantly listening for who they are, how they think, how they build things in their minds. That's what you're listening for. You're listening for the most interesting things, which are beyond, way beyond their issue that they brought. So you're listening, how do they structure their beliefs, their thoughts, their feelings? What is their modem of operation, right? How do they actually move from point A to point B internally? And only then you can offer a real deep reflection that's going to be transformative, not only for this specific issue that the client is bringing for you, but overall. Because every time that type of shift happens, their identity shifts just a little bit. They evolve in some way, as we all do, right? And so this is extremely important. How you listen? What is your presence about? You're present to what? What are you present to? Are you present to the task, to the puzzle, to the issue, to the labyrinth of that? Are you excited about resolving the issue? Or are you excited about being with another human being in a shared space of thinking and feeling? That's the difference. That's the main huge difference. And so I just wanted to remind you about that and how important that is. How important it is to be able to do that. And so I don't know. I didn't click on show comments. Oh, 1 second. Chat. Oh no, 1 second. I just wanted to make sure that I can see your comments. And yeah, absolutely. Okay. All right. So yeah. And as a reminder, what I was going to say, I lost my track of thought. Yeah, technology is always a challenge, no matter where, no matter what. It's always a challenge, always something new, and we're trying to keep up. And so actually on the topic of clients, masterful type of coaching is never single-handedly looks at just one issue or takes into consideration just the very session that you're on or in. You want to be inclusive. You are literally collecting in that basket all of the information that you have about your client from one session to the next. You're collecting everything that you know, and you're listening through the prism of who they are. You're curious to understand their world. You're curious to understand how that chess game happens in their minds. And you're responding to that much more than to the actual issue that they are bringing, right? And that's much more valuable to your client. And then there are other things that come to mind, such as trust. You know, that triad that I always talk about, and I actually have it in a post, and it's in my featured post on my profile about the triangle of trust, and that's extremely important. And it's based on ICF, reminding us that we need to trust ourselves, we need to trust the coaching process, and we need to trust the client. And I firmly believe that any of these trusts is damaged, then the triangle falls, right? And so in order to trust yourself, you need to know the coaching process, because that's a skill. It's something you can actually learn. You need to be confident and have a large variety of questions that you can pick from, so that you feel comfortable having enough of a pool of questions, have a pool of questions to pull from, to take from, that you understand the process, that you follow the process, that even if you change the process a little bit, you're doing it by choice versus by accident, right? And I'm all for breaking rules, but you have to know them first before breaking them. So learning the basics, learning the rudiments of this amazing art that we call coaching, right? And then that basic knowledge initially creates, and then builds your confidence, builds your trust in yourself, right? I mean, if you don't learn the musical notes, you can't start playing any instrument. When you start playing instrument, you have to start with basics. You have to learn how to hold your hand, how to operate, where things are on whatever instrument that you are using. Then you start learning like really simple melodies, and then maybe using both hands. It's a process. And before you go on stage and play for your friends, relatives, or anyone else, right, you have to get yourself to a certain level of confidence of being able to do it. And you can't get there without knowing the basics and putting a lot of work in. So I think that we sometimes forget, because coaching is a communication skill, and we all have communication skills to a certain degree. They're just not ICF type of communication skills that we call that is ICF coaching. So if we approach it as absolutely something new, something that we have to learn, and give it enough time and effort, then it's going to, that knowledge is going to, knowledge and experience is going to turn into confidence. And that confidence eventually is going to help you to let go of that need, emotional need, to make sure that you're providing value, because your value is not in your suggestions. Your value is in being there and being able to offer reflection, perspectives, acknowledgement, and all of the other things that competencies offer. Half an hour like flies, like literally. I can't believe we've been here for literally like exactly 28 minutes. I guess I like to talk. I'm going to finish by reminding everyone that this ICF Coaching Circle is sponsored by my school, Goal Imagery Coaching Academy, and that I personally start a cohort for level 1 and level 2 holistic life, career, and executive coach training, because we include all niches in our certifications in one foundational course where you can learn all of that. And it starts exactly in 1 week on July 30th, July 7th, on a Tuesday at 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And I'm planning to have just 6 selected students. And we already have the class almost full, but we do have a couple of spots available. So get in touch with me. It's going to be an amazing, really personalized, individual type of learning, with me being present at every single lesson for the duration of the course, where you can learn how to become a transformational coach. Connect with me. I always accept all of the connections from other coaches, unless you are trying to sell me something. So marketers, I'm sorry, I love you, but no. But coaches and aspiring coaches, absolutely yes. And even if you're not ready to enroll now, please still, I want to be connected to all of you. And if you have any questions, directly message me, write a comment under any of my posts. I'll probably see it. If you tag me, otherwise I won't see it. And email me, connect with me, go to my website. Our website, goalimagery.com. And from there, you'll be able to see my phone number. You'll be able to book a meeting with me personally on Zoom, and I will be happy to meet you and answer your questions. Alrighty, well, that kind of ends our conversation for today, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next Tuesday. Bye for now. Thank you.